Let's let's let the students in. Let's let the
Welcome,
family.
welcome everybody. Thank you
Hello.
again for joining us on our sessions,
Hello.
How to Tuesday. For those new to the space, thank you for joining us. It's an open forum. You can openly ask any questions that you have on the use of marketing, on using Nowsite marketing systems, or also general. We'll try to answer them. I have Robert assisting me in the chat for answers as well. So if you don't feel comfortable opening your mic and asking your question directly, you can ask them directly into the chat. Uh, Everything that is created here, I tend to offer as recap on our how-to session links. I'll post them into the video description. And we will get things started. I hope everybody's been having a great week so far. Day three of the week. I was expecting a lot of questions today on the use of the tool. So we'll start with that. If I don't have any questions, as usual, I'll go into maybe a conversation that we will all benefit from. Something that I think was left as the tipping point of our meeting yesterday. We'll go over that as well. So we'll start with questions, if any. Going once, going twice, going three times. Silence is sold. So I'll start with a conversation. At any point in time, I think you guys can time in. I think usually that is what happens. We end up having questions around what is being shared or things that will come about. Yesterday, for those who were here, we were speaking last about value and time. The idea of offering value in our conversation when we are interacting with our prospects, right? Or when we are creating a marketing asset to bring in a certain engagement. Proposition or positioning value in our offers is something that is important, especially in the wake of what we're doing, right? If we are going out there again, looking at people's profile, bringing them in to have a conversation through NAV, which will guide us through that process, which we are all practicing, I hope. And if we are all coming to terms with that call to action. We have to send them a marketing asset that offers value for the person to opt in, follow through the next part of the conversion process. I think we all agree with that, right? Perfect. So one of the things I think that is important when we're talking about value here, I'm going to be drafting, I think, to lead the conversation. I created a little bit of document here. I'll format it, and again, I'll share it through our how-to session. I was putting together this conversation. I started with a basic business description that I think we can all abide by as brand ambassador of one marketing opportunity or the other, looking for certain conversation, whether it's at the startup or the experience or the elite level. In this case, you can see that I'm always focusing on the first tier with which I'm comfortable. Through this conversation, what we are looking at, or what I would invite people to do, is these type of exercise, right? What are the assets that I have here that give value to this conversation as a brand ambassador looking to help these people, right? The first thing that or the one value that we discussed on yesterday, having in common, having an amount of, and also the scarcity of, was time, right? And time is something that is also a value to somebody that need guidance into achieving a certain exercise, goal, or ambition, right? Knowledge, the expertise or the knowledge of our product, how it works to benefit the client's interests or goals, or how it blends into the process of what they're doing. Us being able to talk about that is also one of the assets. and the expertise with which we can bring them in or deliver that information. These are usually the basic assets that we have to offer, whether we acknowledge them as such or not. This is what we bring to the table. As brand ambassador, we bring in our time to assist the person. We bring in our knowledge, both of who they are, their need, their interests, and how that relates to our product, and the expertise in which we can make these connections happen. These are everything that we have. For this exercise, what we're going to do, what I'm going to focus on is the idea of time, right? Time is the basic value that we have to offer. It brings back also the conversation around us having our digital card, right? A digital card is the first asset that we should be using. By default, is the first one that we start you with, and that can help you position all three of these values: your time as the offer, the intended conversation value or end goal, your knowledge through the presentation, the conversation, and also all the expertise in which this is rolled out or presented. Make sense for everybody so far? Okay. So here, for example, what I would recommend, as always, is to adhere to what is being added here. Okay. But what I'm going to do is go directly into the creation. Okay. I'm going to do this manually, so that way we can also get a walkthrough of how the website works, or the website editing works. All right, let me give it time for you. So, so we can get also an idea of how we're editing from scratch. Actually, having said that, I'm going to build it myself now. Okay, so I'm going to go for blank templates. So I will still take my business conversation because I want to take advantage of my AI tool. And perfect. So I'm going to start from scratch. Why? Because I want to focus on the subject of today. Again, how do we position value in our offer, or how do we give value to the asset that we have to build on relationships? So I'm going to start from scratch here. So this is the blank editor. Okay. This is also going to give you a good idea of how to appreciate the conversation that the AI is generating by default when it's creating it. Okay. I'm also going to introduce some new values in how to approach your art of conversation, or the structure in which you build your conversation. So again, for those who are new, this is our basic editor. Everything that we need to operate is in the gray zone. We have the business name here. We have the website assets. In this case, I didn't generate conversation around this. We'll do this at the last stage. It's going to be the final makeup. I want to come back and use my time here to elaborate more on what we're going to be doing in presenting our offer or value. Okay, so when you're creating, this is a basic environment, click and drag. All the construction blocks are named by their functions. And I always recommend starting with the content section, click, drag, drop. It lets you know basically where this will end up first, being the first content section that you're going to be building on, and also the different options that you have here to arrange that content. Allow me, just want to take a glass water. Perfect. I'm going to split this in two, just because I want two panels. And the next step is, since we're talking about conversation, presenting offers, we're going to go directly here for headline, right? The headline is basically where you start conversation. You have a headline, you have a subheading. When I am creating conversation, just going to put it forward and then we'll talk about it. Now, whenever I'm creating conversation, this is the structure on which I'm trying. call to action, sorry. This is the basic structure that I'm trying to adhere to, right? In the interest, in the title, is where I want to create that first value or create that perception of this is where you need to be to pursue that goal, right? If time here is the asset that I'm putting forward, I'm just going to duplicate that and keep it as a template. So if time is the asset that I'm offering, then my title should speak about that. You notice at the beginning, time for you. Oh, sorry. You notice at the beginning, I thought about quickly a name for this funnel or for this conversation. And since the value around this was offering time, then time is for you, right? As simple as that. The conversation, the offer, the call to action in the end, which is the button that I'm going to be adding, okay, will only be a reflection of what needs to be done to get that time. Okay. So I already know what the call to action is to book the call. And based on how I manage my time as an asset, and remember last time we spoke about that, I have time to offer. How can you get it? Well, you can call me if I have a telephone number. You can email me your question if that process is easier for you, right? Or in the end, you can also book a call. So that time asset that I have, I can offer it in different ways, making it available or tailored for the need of my audience. And that already is value. If I say I have a tailored way to offer my service, then I gave you that value or I put in perspective that time, right? So here, for example, we spoke about that, or I just covered that. I spoke about a tailored way, or here I'm going to use the AI. I'm going to say, right. All right. So here, time for you. My intention was to give you my time and show you the value of it, positioning my expertise. And you see how the conversation is. Here, I'm going to have to filter that. So AI went a little while here. So, rep of age, sure, here. I actually like this here. Take this. It gave me a lot of information to use a little bit more than I needed, but I like. 1 second here. I'm just going to grab a few. And this brings back to what I was saying last time is when we're working with the AI and we're asking for information, there are certain things that it will do for us that we can use. Questions so far? Does that make sense? Does that bring about any comment, any notes that you guys would have came across updating your own content? Robert, you had your hand up.
No, it makes total sense, and I'm glad that you're doing it this way to show people how to start from scratch.
Because the focus here is really the conversation, right? It's not the design, but it's the way we approach our conversation. And uh, this part here that I'm doing is something that we should all adhere to in the way that we are structuring this approach. It's a simple way of knowing, okay, well, the title is meant to position the value of my offer. The body of the conversation is where basically I express the intention. The intention that should bind the interest of the client to the benefit of what I offer, the expertise, the time, and such, right? So I'm doing this a little faster. And then the call to action. However sequence or whatever you do in terms of sections across your websites, we should always follow this type of process. Even if, for example, in the end, we wanted to turn this into a simple business card, then at this point, I grabbed the digital card itself, moved it on the second frame, and I can have my capture form in that case. Instead of the book a call here, for example, that would become, actually, I'll leave this. I should have left this. I could have used this as another form of offer. So here, and I could have any other following action. For now, I'm going to leave at no action. Okay. But usually this is the structure of a conversation. Whether you're doing this on many folds or on one fold, on many panels or one panels, your conversation to lead or to give value to what you have to offer, you would want to adhere to this construct. Interest in the title, keeping it simple. If the value is personal growth, then the interest should lead with that. As simple as that. Grow yourself, grow your business, grow your knowledge base, grow your network and worth. Often enough, we don't need to create a long-winded title or winded statement to create interest and create value in the title. Once we pique the interest, we want to be clear with that intention. And this is where we start matching these dots. You need time. I have time. It's structured. This is how you get it. You need knowledge. I offer knowledge. This is how you get it. It's structured. You need solutions. I offer the solution option. This is how you get it. Right? If you structure your conversation always in that manner, you will see clearly the outline of where your next step are because they bring back to your call to action. And you also understand the conversation direction right away because this is the interest that you're always conveying. Questions so far?
Yeah, I got a quick question in reference to what we have on the screen now with you creating this. Will you be able to remove the piece where it says your logo here, or is that something that you
Here you add basically logo. These are branding. Whenever it's published, I'll show you. I'm going to publish this. Okay. You'll notice that it's the editor information letting you know that you could add content here,
Okay.
right? And this is the general look of this. There's still a lot of space that can be used. There are assets that we can add. For example, here I tend to add an image or a video. It's the age of video. So if we have video conversation, for example, why not? I have one, so I can go to any content that I created. Let me just grab one of these links and position that there. Okay, so this is where you also start using any other marketing asset that you would have created. Make sense?
Makes sense, yeah. Because yeah, video probably what I would put in there to take up that space for
Yes.
be symmetrical.
Yes, absolutely. Symmetry is something that is great to keep in mind to always use, unless there are things that, for example, on the background will also allow for conversation to fill in naturally. For example, if I had, I'll say here, this was a good conversation here in terms of symmetry and also overlapping content. Here we'll see, find something nice. And simple. See AI. I'll see what he does. Oh, that's a little too much. whenever you're creating content, be aware of the space, conversation being what we're discussing. Try not to overlap things. Let me just see something that I can use to demonstrate that conversation, that approach.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm going to use this one here, for example. Here, uh, notice the panel. There's nothing on one side and there's conversation on the other, right? If I wanted to use this picture as a background, this could, well, lesser, if the detail was more at the bottom, that screen conversation would be at the bottom here. So keep in mind not to overlap conversation. That's one of the points I wanted to make. When you're picking images out for your background, don't overlap the conversation, because here, for example, if we left this as is, my effort would be lost because my conversation is no longer visible. Okay. But again, the most important thing is before we think about the background, okay, always think about the foreground. That conversation here is the most important thing. Just going to toss an image here. That's it. Probably have our Nowsite sessions here, for example, or I'll take this one. So that does fill out the conversation, but always remember that we want to have a clear call to action. If you're adding things like that to feed into the conversation, then make sure that we come back after that. The field here, call to action, should always be very strong, right? The CTA should always be present. And as a matter of fact, every time you create content on any fold, it's always going to be the same thing, right? Whether I put a picture here and a conversation on this side, or I choose to do reverse going forward, that's the idea of these folds that you want to always keep in mind. Okay. If I keep going down the conversation, I should be always respecting this syntax. Now you see that as I scroll down, every time there is something that compels me to act. That's the most important thing that we tend to miss when we're creating structure. Interest, intention, call to action. Whatever it is here, we'll reinforce this, and the call to action should be present. If I fold down, this is the sequence of the conversation that you always want to have. So that way, from the start, you always position value into the conversation. You offer time, well, book your time. We have a tailored experience for you. You offer solutions, discover the right solution for your need. Right? You're looking for an expertise, discover the expertise that is right for your question. We're positioning the value there simply in the statement. Then we explain. Go ahead, Audrey.
Okay, thank you. Couple of quick questions. I saw you started out with 2 panels and worked your way down. On average, let's just say, let me start back. First question, this is representing a website, correct? Oh,
it's a marketing asset.
A marketing asset. And I guess one of the things don't quite understand is the differential between the website, the funnel, and the landing page. But I want to ask that question right now. My question is, with the amount of panels that we add, let's just say on one asset, how long on average will people scroll down one asset? I mean, how much content do you really want? Because I noticed you said, state your value, make your call of action, put that information in. Is there something that's just really too much for one type of site, or?
Well, when we start, we'll do it actually with the AI, and you'll see by default what we recommend. And also it's going to give me a chance to elaborate on your first question. What is the difference between a website, a sales funnel, and a landing page, right? Before we start with the difference, let's start with the common points. What are they supposed to do? They are doing the same thing. They have the same goal, right? They want the client to leave a point of conversation, a contact, right? either your email or more, right? But the first is we need to create that relationship so that we can manage it. This is why all of our website will have a contact form. The second goal of all these three assets is conversion. If I'm offering something, a service, in this case, for example, I was offering my time, right? So if I'm offering my time, then the second goal is I want you to book time for me, with me. Make sense so far?
Yes.
So they all have the same purpose. Now, the difference between these marketing assets are how they are structured. A website by default has a menu, meaning that if I land on the first page, I can go to the top of that menu and decide where I want to go next, right? I'm not forced into one direction. That's the basic difference between a website and a landing page. A landing page, you only have one page. You don't have a menu. You're forced to go down that conversation path, however long it is. Usually you don't want it to be too long. Otherwise, by the time I reach the middle of the page, I forgot what I came in, the value that was positioning at the beginning of the page, which is the entry point, will get diluted further down, unless it's part of a learning process. So usually you don't want to go too long with a landing page. A sales funnel, which is basically a two-step process, okay, is a way that starts with what we commonly understand to be a capture page or a lead magnet, something that attracts the lead's interest into giving us information, right? So we get that email and it's a conditional offer or a moral exchange. In this case, for example, in this card, the digital card, the moral exchange is I'm offering you my time. The only thing that you have to do is go through the exercise of giving me your information. I have, in fact, captured you. Now, once you have given me your information, I have the choice. I can lead you from the registration button to any other anchor, right? It could be my Calendly, and then you continue. In that case, that's the landing page. This is where I go to fulfill the offer. I could bring you to an inner page, which is what I recommend. We create a thank you page where we land the client and tell them, thank you for registering. Now, these are the steps before you. Check your email. We start onboarding the client. Remember that is one of the more crucial experience building step that we should always tend to want to create. If I put up a form and the client willingly gives me the information, I have to have a whole song and dance ceremony to tell them, thank you. I love you. This is what's going to happen. If you have questions here, the same interest and love that you showed me, I'm going to give it you back. But what I'm really doing is preparing you for the prospect journey ahead. Thank you in my house. Now, this is how it works. If you're hungry, you go in the back, the kitchen, the fridge, it's all yours. If you want to take a shower, 2 flights of stairs, you see, you start giving them the tour. That is what basically a successful capture page should do next, the landing page. Just like, for example, often enough in the basic strategy that we are accustomed to getting is that, okay, we capture, then we lead you to a video and you'll watch that video. And then that's the most important part. And then what does that video instruct you to do? If the video is a thank you video, thank you for giving you the chance to change your life by saying yes to this offer. These are the next steps. Check your email. We sent you content, or join us here, or these are the link below. Or this is our onboarding process. We're now going to introduce you to what is the purpose of that video or that next step. Bringing us back again to that prospect journey and that flow of conversation that we have prepared for the client. Okay, so website, sales funnel, landing page, all have the same goal. We want to create a relationship with the client and we want to convert them to action. The difference is in the mechanics or the depths of the asset. A website, you have a choice. You have a menu. You can choose, because if I'm, for example, accustomed to your service, when I come to your website, I don't need to go down the trail of the introduction. I want to go directly to the service tab, book my call, and wait for the rest. Thus, the idea of having the menu and different offers. In this case, we have our welcome for those who are new, the about for those who wish to know, and then we have the service tab and the contact us, which were the basic website architecture that we discussed in that part of our case study. Okay, again, following that. Same goes if we're landing on a page. The first time we're going to present ourselves. Technically, to answer your question, the amount of folds that we have will adhere to our sales flow process. If I meet you the first time, the first fold is the connection fold. This is where we create interest. This is where we position intention. This is where we start mirroring our call to action, first fold, right? So we connect. Building a rapport is the about section. Since you're in the right place, then we're going to talk about us. That's the second fold. Third fold, in what we do here, we give you the testimonials to reinforce the building relationship aspect of it. All right, and we're still following the sales. Then we're going to offer the contact section, right? So that we can go into that. Okay, well, we want to start making that connection or positioning the meetings or the service. And we go into the closing, right? This is when you have the service tab. And if you went all through these 5 tabs, right? So the banner, which is the connection, the about, right? The testimonials, which is where we reinforce our relationship. Then we offer a connection in the contact section, contact us, where we have the form. Then we talk about the services. Then we have 5 folds, which are our basic folds. And if you went through all these folds, 5 power sections, which all have call to action. The interest is about getting to know me. You have a brief description. You want to learn more. Here's a button. What does the button can do? Positioning my expertise with a PDF. Download it. Book a meeting. Give us a call. My time as an asset can be one of these call to action. We talk about testimonials. Well, what is the next step? Join us. Join us where? On social media or any other online platform that I have created and dedicated for that interaction, right? Second fold, second interest, intention, call to action. Third fold, we're in the contact. Well, you see all these happy people, connect, leave me your information. And we have that again, interest, intention, call to action, which echoes into the email process or what I discussed, the page where I say, thank you, you're now one of us. We love you, you're home. Let's go and get better together. Okay. Then we have the service tab. And if you went through all that and you haven't clicked the button, well, just ask for your question directly, meet the team, right? So usually you should have enough of your intention and your plan laid out within this structure. If there's more, if I'm telling you, well, you're coming to a 60 lesson type environment, then you have potential 60 panels to go through. And even there, you would want to break those to a reasonable amount, right? Because remember, the further down you go, the lesser the value that you discovered at the beginning remains. It gets diluted. Why? Because technically every fold is another powerful and more important call to action. So at one point, you're going to have to forget one or decide, okay, out of all these call to action, which one is the most important one? And this is why we only give 2, or they only have 2. Give me your information so that I can complete the interest gap or convert, and I'll give you the service that you're deserving, the service that you opted in, the service that I offer with the value that comes in. Make sense? Answers the question?
Beautiful. Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Perfect. So it is that. Keep always that in mind. Coming back to our discussion here, everything that you build in terms of the approach to conversation, so that you can give value to your offer or position that value. Simply keep that format in mind: interest, intention, call to action. It falls into what we have been practicing so far. What? The interest is at the core of what we have to offer, right? And our intentions are centered around the who this offer is made for, this what is made for. And all the call to action have to do with the how we offer the service, how they get this conversation, right? So from the beginning, when we're drafting our business profile, already the small things that we write in there, or we should write in there, are already positioning our assets, our value in the conversation. So that when we come here and we are tailoring these messages, we're not lost. There's no, I don't know what to say. I know what I came to offer. This is what this person needs: time, or expertise, or knowledge, training, right? So at the core of my intention here will be it. Time for you. Okay, we offer an expert self-trained database of content that you can access freely. Join the team. In this case, I'm not talking to somebody who wants a meeting. They just want access to information and do it on their time. Still time for you. But the intention has slightly changed. So the call to action. Why? Because the asset that I want to offer is no longer time as it is, but more expertise or access to knowledge base. Okay. So simple words, just changing it in perspective, and you get a different value positioning. Often enough, we have a problem with what we are writing, okay, or what we are trying to get AI to write, okay. Note, you can do that, okay. I want to offer this. Can you restructure this respecting this format? Interest, intention, call to action. Give a few, right? Interest, intention, call to action, and that allows you also to predict certain conversation. If my offer is around making this person or making myself accessible, okay, so how do you need time? When are you off work? My time is your time. I position value. Okay. If you're busy, I also have created a database of content that you can access. I took time to make and create value for you. You can access it freely. For freely, yeah. Take a look at it. Let me know what you think. Come back. I've positioned now expertise, value, and time. Sometimes it's that simple. And all this, again, are things that you have access to doing, you knowledge of doing the different tools, the suite of Gmail tool, the tool that Nowsite offers, your different links, right? All that are asset and conversation that you can hold on your own. Questions? Make sense? Okay. Even your emails should also follow this sequence: interest, intention, call to action, right? And if I'm giving you a sequence of 10 emails, then I have to find a good rhythm between these interest, intentions, call to action, so they're not redundant, that they build upon each other, and that also the answer to specific expectation of your process, right? Because if, for example, I've been sending emails and I want to make sure by day 10 there is a surge of bookings. If day 10 comes and I don't get surge of bookings, I have to come back and say, okay, what is happening in my sequence? Okay, how many times do I have to reinforce the same call to action, or have I not made this intent clear through the email. Okay. So simple process. We just have to keep those values in mind. Okay.
Could you show us how to create a capture page and then taking it, the mechanics of actually putting it to the call to action, like the capture page, I guess, yeah, not capture page, to the landing page. Like I want to create a capture page for people to watch a specific video, but I don't want to expose that video on the capture page. I want to get their information because that video is going to tell everything that I want them to know. But I'm gonna
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna operate on that conversation, and then we will see what else can be done, what options we have. Okay. So here, for example, in this case, since we're looking at a two-step process, which is essentially a funnel, right? So we're gonna go sales funnel. Here, you notice coming in, there was not much for me to do. I'm just going to take my same conversation. So it's a website capture for you. I call this one capture for you. And here, sales funnel, right? If already I had a booking link, actually here, I'll play with this here. I created this /digital card/landing page because I added many folds. As soon as you go beyond a fold for me, on a digital card, you're more into a landing page because you're giving more options than just what a digital card does. Here's my contact. Here's how we get in touch, right? So I'm going to grab this here, for example. If this was the end goal, and this you can have, actually, let me grab something else. So I have, this was the marketing travel. Okay, here, I'll take this workshop here. So this is more complete copy. I'll come back. And the end result is I want them to continue if they're interested in more down this rabbit hole here. And I'm going to hit on build a website. This is something that we can all do so far. I was just clicking and copying. The AI is going to go into the process of creating what we're looking for, our two-step process, right? If you look now to the gray section where we have our editing block, in this case, since I have a business name, everything has been filled out. So to optimize quickly, social media share, we're going to do this and optimize. I'm going to grab here, just grab this here, and boom. So we'll be able to recognize it. So boom, pages. Now, for your question, we already have our capture page with the form leading by default to a landing page, right? So I'm just going to navigate to the second page by clicking on the digital pencil, right? And just at landing here, if I wanted to add that said video here, video, click, drag, drop, and the last would be embedding the link here.
Okay.
Make sense?
It looks like the one that I have to do, I can't get the video code, so I want to use it so that I can put a website, a link that takes them to the video. Okay.
Where is the video hosted? On which and
it's not hosted on Vimeo nor YouTube. The link to it was given to me, and I can't get the I can't see the MP3 code or anything. It's more of a URL that takes them to.
okay.
More like I guess it's a second website then, yeah.
Well, it would be a redirection link in that case that you would be most likely doing. In this case, what you would want to do for experience, since you just notice, it's going to lead them somewhere that has another website type experience. Just like I did in mine, in the landing page before, in the button, I offered the how-to letter. So you see, this would lead them to that next step. Okay. It would also give you the opportunity for yourself to create your own YouTube channel and have that conversation prepositioned. Thank you for giving the time to consider watching this video. The first video is me introducing you to this world and letting you know that you can click on the link below, and this is the journey before you. So you can also start building your own onboarding experience for the people that you will end up capturing. Make sense?
Okay. Makes sense.
reinforcing that bond right away. It's going to get you also in the habit of using these tools. It's important. Question?
Cool. All right. Let's just go back and do it. Thank you.
You can also book a meeting, put things in in place,
Oh, yeah.
and book a meeting, and we'll come back and we'll fine tune it and such. But also remember, if I'm doing a capture, the strategy no longer just is getting you to that second page to watch that video. That's only the step two of the process. Step one is I have your email, I have your interest. There has to be something stronger that I'm going to have to do because that is a hot lead. It's a hot commitment, right? I gave you my email, so I'm going to be expecting something on it, and you must be banking on that also. So your email would be also a way to follow up in the next step of the process. Thank you for for giving me your email, just to reinforce that you have understood the steps. Here's a process outline. Here's the link to click. Here's how you would book a meeting with me to reinforce the steps that you're taking. You understand?
Yeah, got it. Yeah, Calendly or something like that.
Exactly.
Body of the letter. Or the
Exactly. That is actually the true meaning behind what we have come to understand to be a funnel. Okay, because there's, at least this is how I understand. We have the funnel as a tool that we just discussed, which is a two-step process. And then we have this conversation around a funnel system or funnel marketing approach, right? What we have discussed here is the essence of that. A funnel is a series of steps and a series of reaction that I'm building around each one of them. I want your email because the idea is that I'm going to start planning a series of follow-up conversation meant to drive you across different set of actions. First, check. Then I'm going to bring you to a landing page or conversion page. Remember our two goals, right? One, I need to get that relationship started, and that commitment via email is what I'm looking for, right? It's that commitment to a relationship to come. So I have to honor that relationship right away as I am building the as I am receiving the commitment. Sorry, I want to have already that flow of process in mind. Right. So on one hand, you're going to be receiving these email reinforcing this journey before you, and on the other hand, I'm going to bring you now to the point of conversion or pre-conversion process. In this case, your video is meant to inform them on what to do next, but also new call to action based on this new level of interest. Just like when we're going down the fold, every fold is a new level of interest, a new level of intention, a new level of action to be taken. That's what we call a funnel. This is how I came to understand a funnel process. So if I'm doing a landing page that goes down 60 folds, meaning these are 60 levels of a funnel conversation. Every time I'm trying to get you to do something different, right? And that's a lot of call to action. We lose power, too many intents. So usually we want to move in a rhythm, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we move them across, right? If it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rhythm, then we have understood, okay, and we have also given them option. If you feel that you can skip the next 5 steps, connect me directly, and we'll take it on level 7 and up.
Right, because you're saying that sometimes they won't remember some of the stuff, and if you putting too many on there. So I know my objective is to get the lead, and then I'm thinking of creating an email autoresponder type of thing to engage with them as well.
Okay, I want to come back to what you said first, and we're going to position that answer again. Okay, because you said your objective is to get them to opt in into this email campaign that you will then create after, correct?
Correct. A series of emails.
But my problem with that is the objective should have came first. So what was the real objective, right? The email What is it supposed to do? Is it to book a meeting? Is it to join a webinar? Because then the objective is the first one. My objective is to get them to book a webinar. My objective is to get them to book a meeting. So what is that first objective? Because this is what the client will respond to in terms of next step. Have you come here looking for a meeting? If that's your objective, this is how we proceed. Have you come here looking for knowledge? Then if that's the objective, this is how we proceed. Right? Our objective actually should mirror the interest of the client. So if your objective is to get the client to opt in, then what is the objective of the client for them to opt in? What are you doing to get that interest? What is the value? It comes back to what we were discussing from the beginning. What was the value position before the client for them to opt into this objective of yours, knowing that they are going to achieve their objective? So what is the objective? The first objective is also, okay, satisfying the client need. What is the client needs? That's the first objective that we're aiming at, because then the client will naturally follow your steps to meet their objective. Make sense?
Okay.
So what was the objective? Booking time with them, bring them to a webinar?
Yeah, bringing them to get them to a Zoom so they can see more of a full presentation, since the initial one is like a little short video, but we want to get them to a full 20-minute presentation.
Perfect. So that has been the value of the objective. We're going to show you how to get a full presentation. The first step is taking this one. Start with this introduction video. And sometimes in conversation, there's one lesson that I learned from one of my mentors. It was in customer service. It wasn't even in sales or marketing. He told me, if you're going to give service and you want to make sure that somebody follows the service, then from the beginning, you have to position the journey, right? I'm going to take you from this point to this point. Now follow, right? That way the person will follow you. But if you're saying, if somebody says something and you're not necessarily positioning it, you say, follow me. They won't be sure that they're going into the right direction. So you yourself have to always create that clarity in the positioning of your objective. We're going to get you the most knowledge that we can in a 20-minute webinar session. But before that, let's start you with the introductory package. That the client is ready for that 20-minute or getting ready for that 20-minute to come. And you have set up the journey in that conversation from the beginning. And they will follow step 1 to step 2 to step 3, because they know that at one point they're getting to the 20. You position that right away. Okay, this is why the question I was very straightforward. Often enough, it's something that I come across in these conversations when we're planning our strategy. And it comes down back to, again, that prospect journey, that mapping of our objective. Right? Because if the objective was to get these people to a webinar, then right away, that would have been the answer. I want to get them to a webinar, and everything is meant to give value to them showing up for that time and date. Then everything around that webinar becomes crucial. What is the time? What is the date? What is the link? Right? Because these are the first thing that I'm also going to offer. You're going to get this. If you want, you can jump there, but come here and I'll break you in so that you understand and get real value from that 20-minute to come, creating that bond and giving even more value in my interaction, because you're the brand ambassador. What?
So that bond is created within the landing page, or
within the conversation approach that you choose. And yes, it's the landing page. Remember, the first fold, the first leg of our sales flow conversation is connection. I need to create that connection. Where can I create the connection for the interest that you're pursuing and the objective that we can achieve together? At the door, right? If I come to a workshop and the title says something that not of my interest, I move on to the next, right? So it's right there. At landing, at capture, at connection, we create that bond, interest, intention, call to action. My interest here is to get you to become an expert in 20 minutes. How do we do it? We make you participate in a 20-minute power session webinar. How do you sign up? Start the process here. Thank you for registering for this first step. Before we get you to 20, we'll get you the 5 first minute in to start out and assess your knowledge base. First jab, right? And that allows you and allows the person to assess themselves to the process. If you have questions, here's a link. This is when you start introducing yourself. One of the things that you have to make sure that you understand is after capture, you cannot stay in the shadows. You're gonna have to step forward into the conversation at least once to show that you are there, and then let the automation of the process work and the person in the learning curve work the rest of the steps as long as you have ironed out that process. But at one point, at least after that first initial moral exchange, I gave you my email because you said you were going to help me, that you were going to be present, that you're going to show me knowledge. I expect to meet you at least once, and then I'll carry on. Right? So at one point, we're going to come in. This is why, at least if we're going to try to do this very remotely, then we at least have to take stage in front of our cameras, have our channels, have videos that at least onboard the person so they can see, oh, okay, this is how this person looks like. This is how this person really sounds. Okay, I can keep looking and reading the rest of the content. Okay, if I know who I'm going to meet or speak with when this session occurs, set of steps down that road. Okay, so it has a lot to do with mapping your process or mapping the customer journey. It also will fall in line with outlining your own Q's and A's, because the first question would have been, okay, well, how can you do that in 20 minutes? Watch the first video, book a meeting after that. Let's go into an assessment. You're already into the process. Remember that the questions that client asks are commitment that they're trying to make. If I don't ask any question, I'm like, oh, okay, good, let's go. I mean that the interest didn't compel me to want more. Oh, okay, what are we doing next? Okay, do you mean that I can? Okay, yes, come. Every open question when you meet that challenge is basically the conversation progressing in your favor. Make sense for everybody?
Yes.
Okay. I'll try to create a condensed version of this conversation. Just keep in mind this next part: interest, intention, call to action. I think it becomes a lot. It becomes the next subject, since we're again looking at nav, and we can now and will be exchanging with people. So it's always important to keep positioning the interest in what we do in the conversation. Go ahead, Audrey.
This
And
has
value.
been incredible. Just a question for next week to put on your mind.
Okay.
This was great. I would like to see if you might be able to demonstrate for us, because it's so important to, if we're going to be, our objective is to share knowledge. Possibly could that be done through the email campaign? Could you show us like next week or?
Absolutely. But I believe I'll show
Yeah.
you the process, but I believe that I actually answered that question last time, because remember I said, when you're building a process, okay, when you're showing or sharing knowledge, you can only share a process that you have understood. So when you're working with your AI, elaborating a way for you to actually roll out your own content or understand the own use of that you're making with your tool, and you're taking notes of that, this is actually the process that you were sharing sequence, right? Day one of, let's put it this way. Day one of Nowsite would be making sure that you onboard your AI. And this is something that we all have done, right? So if you yourself go back and write a 5-step process on how you have onboarded your AI and where you find your resources, that would be the first email that you would share to any onboarding person that you would bring in.
Okay.
Right? Step 2, getting familiar, for example, with the whole marketing tool And it's not even mastering, it's getting familiar with it. And again, where to find the resources. And that would be your second email, right? So when you're creating an email sequence to onboard, to train, or to share information, what you're doing is only repeating the process that you have followed, the journey, the road that you have traveled. Remember, this is where we become coach. This is where we become guides, not gatekeepers. We took the journey with you. And now we double back and say, okay, let me become the guy who's going to help you cross that bridge, that knowledge of understanding. For two reasons. I need to build a team, right? So one, I want you to be part of that team, right? And two, I need to grow. And to grow, I need to have peers in my space. If I don't have to teach you how to do something because you already know it, when you come back to the conversation table with me, you come with loads of experience, things that I have not maybe been able to experience, new opportunities that we can explore together, right? If I can only take care of 10 people during the week, and now you have leveled up where you can take 10 people in the week, our organization is taking on 20. And exponentially, we can grow. That's the idea here. Make sense?
Absolutely.
Makes total
That's
sense, brother.
Perfect. So
Thank you.
remember, your own learning curve is the expertise and experience that you're about to share. This is why no activity, no frenzy is a problem for me. Frantically looking in that hay for that needle that will prick your success story open. And when you do this, it happens. You see it in the environment. There's these business conversations, these assets, these process, right, that are occurring. These offers are becoming more clear and more targeted. Right? This is what we need to see. Okay, and remember, because the AI is doing all the knowledge building for you by default, you just have to focus on clarity in your offer and then that activity out there. Okay, perfect. Go ahead, Robert, for the last one.
Just want to wish everybody massive success over this next week, and we'll see everybody Tuesday.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure to see you. Hopefully more
Good stuff,
questions.
Virgil. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Pleasure. Thank you, Kim.